My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine Cristani from Willow Healing, and today I am here with the lovely Darla Radilla. So she is a self-love mentor, and Darla helps women fall back in love with themselves so that they can have a healthy relationship with themselves and others. She is a certified somatic trauma-informed coach, relationship expert, speaker, and podcaster. She draws from her own journey of healing from narcissistic abuse. Her personal experience fuels her passion for helping women reclaim their power, rebuild self-worth, and create fulfilling relationships. By working with their nervous system, Darla guides her clients in processing past trauma, restoring confidence, and embracing their innate strength. So a big welcome to the show, Darla, and I'm really excited for this conversation.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
I guess the question that popped into my head when I was reading that out is, how did you actually start, the journey to coming back to self-love?
It was quite a journey indeed. I think while the beginnings were that go back to childhood, of course, not having good role models in my home, and then that played out in my adult life. So I started to attract men who were emotionally unavailable, and in that process, they were either abusive or emotionally unavailable, but they were all just not good for me. And what I didn't know is not only did I not love myself, but I was actually creating these experiences for me. I was trying to fill a void because I didn't have that good relationship with my dad. And while I think my healing journey really began in 2013 when I almost took my life. I said recently on a post that it was my rock bottom, but it was the moment that I learned to live and stop surviving. And that was the start. And there's been stops and starts, there's been accelerations. So you fast forward to a year and a half ago. And I read this book by John Kim called The Single on Purpose. And he talks about how self-love is not the Pollyanna type where you look in the mirror and just do a mantra. It's really about getting to know who we are. And as women, I think we always give so much away of ourselves. We're moms, we're now caregivers. Sometimes, not me, but other people, their parents, that the roles have switched. There's so many other people around us that are asking for pieces of us, and we naturally are givers, and we give too much, and then we lose sight of who we are in the process. And so I really started to think about this book and really started to get in touch with who I am, going out on a weekly date, really getting in touch with, well, what do I enjoy? I used to sit for hours and read a book on a Sunday afternoon. I don't do that anymore. Those things that make me happy. And as I did that, I realized how important I was to myself. When I started to value myself, I started to raise my standards. I started to hold tighter and higher boundaries. And I realized that my dating experience started to change. And then I had another acceleration a year ago where I started to date very differently. And I had two very short relationships, but that was because I realized these people weren't right for me. And I loved them, but I love myself more. And now I'm in the middle of another one. This past 2-3 weeks, it's been this another major change. But yeah, it's been a journey that's just been, it's been a stepping stone, one little thing at a time.
Yeah, and I love how much you share there, Darla, especially about, that it's about getting to know yourself completely. And when I was in my first marriage, when I left, that's actually part of why I left, because I realized I actually didn't know who I was anymore. And I didn't realize that I was there was nothing left of me, and it was only a friend saying back to me in a journey in a car, saying, I don't know who you are anymore, that my subconscious went, I don't know who I am anymore either. And it then started that compassionate self-inquiry, like, okay, what do I actually enjoy? And like you said, I love reading, but I'd also, like, I love music, but I changed all my music taste to listening to what my ex was listening to. Not that he asked me to, but I was like, oh, if we have things in common, that means our relationship's going to go the distance, because these are the things that are peddled, right? You have to have things in common. You have to have, all these stereotypes and things. And guess what? It didn't work. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But it was through all that that then I came back to myself. But then, like you said, then when you become a mother, that shifts again, because you have like this. And I was talking with some mums about this the other week, and it's like, as soon as that baby comes out of you, you're like, oh no, who am I now? And it is that point when you're holding that baby in your arms, you realize your whole life has changed, like an instant. And then again, I could imagine, I don't know the caregiver role, but I would be, and again, it would flip again when you're like constantly giving, giving, giving. And you forget to fill up your cup, and then you start attracting things into your life reflecting that you're not actually taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. It's interesting, because I was just having a conversation with my daughter the other day, and she has an 8-month-old, and she's struggling with a lot. Like, she's in school, she works, she's a mom, and she's made some amazing choices so they don't use daycare. Her and her husband are they're trading off schedules, and that I could hear that pull of, we don't have a lot of time together, let alone personal time. The house is a mess, and trying to keep up on my studies. And while it's temporary, in a year, her bachelor's will be done. In this moment, she's in this horrible vortex of I have no time for me. I'm always sleep deprived. It just, I just felt for her.
Yeah, especially the sleep deprivation. Oh my goodness. My child was a terrible sleeper. Terrible. And it was only when I stumbled across the right practitioner, I ended up going to a chiropractor, and he helped reset his sleep. But because I remember just driving around, because I was running a company at the time as well, and I was driving around,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, did I stop at those traffic lights? How did I even get here? And that to me was
Yeah.
some and they were some red flags to me. I was like, I can't even remember if I drove here and made like the right decisions. So I was like, okay, this is such a priority right now. Like, we need to get some sleep. And and then trying to function and then study, you said as well, and then stay on top of the house. I always just feel, the house is the house. You do what you need to do in those
Mm-hmm.
times.
Right.
And then it's all the pressure we put on ourselves too, that we have to show up as this certain image. Whereas why not just show up and show to people that you are falling apart and you do need support?
That's a great point. I think showing up as we are is really important. Society, when people ask, how are you? We're trained to say, no matter how we're really feeling, oh, good, great, doing well. And it's interesting. I've been playing with this. I've started to say, well, actually, I'm not doing well. I'm having a really rough day. And the reaction I get, there's almost like this, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. She didn't follow the script. And it's not that I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just trying to be authentic, because it was a few weeks ago. I went to a networking event. I woke up in a bad mood. I got there. I was feeling off. And I just admitted that, like, you know what? I'm just not having a good day, and I think it's okay to show up. I really learned that lesson. Many people that follow my podcast know that I moved to Durango from Arizona. And, a few days after I moved here, my dog suddenly just dies. And it was crazy. I'm in the middle of a move. I had no furniture because I still had to go back and get it. And while I cut back considerably and took like 2 weeks off, because I just didn't even have the capacity for anybody. I didn't have anything to give. When I did come back, I came back messy. I mean, I was a mess. And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with recording podcasts where I was like emotional. Um, and the perfectionist in me wanted to say, you're doing it wrong. You're going to scare people off. But I've had the opposite reaction. Like, people have been so supportive about that. I still post pictures of him because I'm still grieving. I mean, I have a new dog, and there's, but that doesn't replace the love I had for the other one. And it's interesting because I've seen, gosh, I actually swear I saw him again just yesterday. Like, he's in the apartment, and it's now like near where her ashes are. It's crazy. I mean, I know that's off topic, but
It's not
it's
crazy.
just part of the
It's not
grieving.
crazy. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that. There's some weird energy at the moment because just yesterday
Yes.
was about to go to bed, and our cat that passed away, her name was Lily, she was there in the bathroom. Like, I could see her, and I was like, "Oh, hi." And then I was like, then your brain tries to explain it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really open to this because it happens to me all the time. But at the same time, my brain's like, "Oh, it's just a reflection of the moon on the tiles." And I'm like, how can the moon possibly be all the way back here? Like, this is not the moon reflecting on the tiles. And when I stood up, it was not there. Like, it was still,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And there's just this weird thing. And pets are an interesting thing because pets come to us with pure unconditional love, and they'll do something or die or run in front of a car to help us learn a lesson in life, but it's completely selfless that they do that. And it's this
Mm-hmm.
lesson that they come to share with us. So, when our cat passed away, for my son, my little one, he goes, I just want to go back where it was because he could remember. It was really interesting. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go back there. It was easier up there because that was how he was processing grief. Whereas my husband's like, I keep seeing her everywhere. And I was like, because she was your cat, that's why you're seeing her everywhere. And it's not unusual because you guys have such this bond that now she's showing up next to the ashes, which is really beautiful because she's still watching over you and she's still making sure you're okay. And she doesn't feel replaced either. It just came through then. That's what she
Yeah,
just said.
that's that. Yeah, and I struggled with that because I adopted Gayla a month after Goliath died. It happened to be like months to the day, and I struggled. I actually had, it was someone who commented on one of my posts that because I was trying to let go of Goliath and let her in, and someone said, "No, you don't have to do that. There's room in your heart for both." And there is a duality. Like, I'll admit, I went on a hike with her on Friday, and she was just being a butthead. And she, like, a mile in, is laying on the ground. I'm like, in dog years, I'm 3 times your age. Like, come on, really? You're a wuss. Goliath was 120 pounds, thick black fur. You're 50 pounds. And I'm like, you're not Goliath. And I have to catch myself, like, whoa, that's true, but I can't compare the two. Goliath was the once in a lifetime dog. That's not her fault.
No, no. And that's right. And then, Gail's come to you to teach you patience, I suppose. So, it's about
Oh,
just
this
that
one,
construct.
whew, yeah, she's willful. And I literally said to her on the trail that day, let me tell you something. In this battle of the wills, you will not win. You will. She was like literally not wanting to walk, and she was like the Sphinx. She put her paws out, and I'm dragging her in the dirt because she refused. And I'm like, it's 5 miles to the car. How do you think we're getting there? You can walk or you can be dragged.
Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. How funny. But yeah, I love that we just went off to
Yeah,
pets. But pets are such an
I
important thing
know.
because
And back to the topic.
yeah. But what you said too about when people ask, how are you? I am exactly the same, Darla, because I'm like, if you say you're good and you're not good, you're dishonoring your word. And if you can't trust yourself and trust what you say, then how are you going to trust anybody or allow anyone to come in your life? And and just being, and like you said, when you say to people, well, actually, I'm not okay today, or I'm having a real hard time at the moment, they don't know what to do. They genuinely
Hmm.
don't know what to do because you've broke the script. It's like,
Hmm.
and I know we both know Pete from Pete versus Anxiety, and he says, "How's your
Yes.
mental health today?" And people don't know how. That he goes, I get a more honest response with that than I do with "How are you today?" because it's a different question, and you're not defaulting into the thing. And even when I started to be conscious about it, I would say, "I'm good." I'm actually no, I'm not great today. Like my friend's husband passed away, or, I've got a lot going on. And some people like, and it was really interesting to see the reactions. Like you said, some people were like, what? But then some people were like, oh, do you want to talk about that? And you're like, you're the people I want in my life because you actually want to have that conversation. You actually care, so
Mhm.
it's really interesting seeing that contrast and finding your supporters and challenges versus the ones who are just going to, oh, okay. That's sorry about that. And then just move on.
That's a great way to find your tribe, because what I am finding is I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. And that's totally okay. And when we answer in our authenticity, you're absolutely right. It's a great way to find out who that tribe is. Because it's interesting. I just had a coffee chat right before this, and it's someone who I just keep in touch with occasionally. We've had several chats, and she asked me, how are you settling in? Because I just moved here 3 months ago, and I was like, well, physically I'm settled in, but mentally, I'm still really struggling meeting people. I haven't been going out as much as I normally do, and I've been super picky this time. I'm really mindful of that. The 5 people you spend the most time with is who you will become like, and I'm being very careful. Um, how I'm interacting with people, which means it's taking a really long time. And that's the truth. And we had a great conversation around that, where some people won't be okay. And because I'm being careful and because I'm being more authentic, that's going to turn people off. I see the deer in the headlights. I talk about a lot of heavy topics sometimes. It's not just on podcasts. It just is. I went on a camping trip over Memorial Day and I'm talking about generational trauma. I don't even know how it got started. like,
That's just is how it is. And it's
yeah,
funny you say that too, Darla, because I have certain friends, and it's funny because who my toleration of people has changed so much. If you're going to sit
yeah,
there and just constantly be in the negative and complain, I don't want to be around you because I'm like, no,
right.
this not for me. I don't even humor it anymore. And sometimes I've learned the best thing you can do is stay silent because then you're not feeding the story. And there's this one
Yes.
person in particular I'm thinking about, and I bumped into her and she just went straight into complaining mode, and I just was like, oh gosh, I'm like, nothing's changed. It'd been months, and I'm like, really, you're still in this mindset, like it's and then she's like, oh, it's really great to see you, and I was like, thank you, because I was like, I didn't feel the same way back, and I'm like, I don't know what else to say
Right.
here. But it's like at the same time, I wasn't entering that conversation, so it kind of just died the conversation completely, because I was like, I can't change this because even when I tried to, you just turn it into another complaint. And versus this other friend I have, and we went out for coffee, and we knew we had an hour, and in this hour we unpacked the big and the heavy, and we just went straight for the jugular. Like you said, you go to the deep stuff, and we had this big, deep and meaningful, and then we're like, wow, that was a powerful hour. Let's, like, thank you. Like we really needed that for each other. We needed to get that out. We don't talk about the weather. Who does that? you know and
Yeah, I
and
don't.
that
I
particular friend, yeah, exactly. And that particular friend, when we first started having coffee together, we were like talking about poop and all this crazy stuff, and she goes, I know you're a friend that we can talk about poo with each other. I was
right.
like, yes, exactly.
And that kind of circles back to the self love, because when we do that, we're actually showing ourselves self love. I recently, and I've been talking about it a lot, Mel Robbins' book, the let them theory. And so let them, your friend who is just comes out with all this negative stuff. Okay, fine. That's who she is. I can't change that. Let her be that. But let me make the choice. Do I want to have another conversation like this with her? I may need to let her go with love and say, I love you, but I can't do this anymore. I mean, I just went through this a few months ago where I just let go of just about everybody in my life, including a best friend. But it wasn't that I was angry with her. It wasn't that there was animosity. It was just, I realized I had outgrown her. And I
Mm.
bless her. I hope someday that we meet again and we're energetically in the same place. I would love that because she's an amazing woman. But I knew that if I stayed friends with her, that I would hold myself back and I was growing. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a beautiful reminder, Darla, because, so often as humans, we want to cling on to something even when it's not serving us anymore. And I always love that saying people come into your life for a reason, a season, a cycle, or a lifetime, because
Hmm.
it's understanding that if they're meant to come back, they will cycle back. But if they're not meant to, they're not meant to. It's like that whole, you'll bump into somebody in the middle of somewhere so unexpected and you haven't seen them for years, and it's like, why are you back in my radar? Like, or you can live on the same street as somebody and never see them again once your relationship's
Hmm.
done with them. So it's really interesting that our energy pulls people in and pushes people out. And my husband, he would go, we were in the middle of the city, I still remember, and like hours and hours away from where he knew this person from. And just randomly, we're walking along the wharf with like hundreds of other people. And he's like, "Oh, hey, mate, how are you?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, what are the odds?
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I really like that guy, blah, 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 blah." And sometimes people come and drop back in, even just for that moment, to remind us of something we need to know about ourselves too. And sometimes it takes courage, like with what you did, like you had to let go of all those relationships that weren't serving you anymore. And it truly takes courage, and also that ability to acknowledge, I love myself more than this, exactly like you said.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it just happened last week. There were some people that I had to let go of, and it was a decision that I'd been putting off for a while. I'd known for a while I was out of alignment with some of these people, um, and unfortunately, their reaction to that proved that, and that was disappointing. But it's like, oh wow, what a lesson! So there's that intuition. My stomach flipped. I'm trained in somatics. I know what the freaking signs are, but I ignored them. And months ago, my stomach flipped. Like this is not the right container for you. This isn't where you need to be. This isn't the right person for you. And I knew it. But it took me. Um, it was actually a second person that works with um, human design and getting my chart done and realizing, and oh, this is out of alignment. I need to get in better alignment. And it was a hard decision. It was. It's a painful, and I won't sugarcoat it. These letting go. I did a post a video just the other day about it. Like, I'm in this weird duality right now. Like, I'm moving fast towards something amazing. I can feel a positive energy shift in me, but I also have this deep sadness and some anger at the people that I'm leaving behind and their reactions, either to my boundaries or standards, or their reactions to me saying goodbye. It's like I'm in two different worlds simultaneously. And I said to someone the other night, I know that what's on the other side of this edge that I'm pushing up against is amazing. And I know that it's going to be great. But right now, I don't feel very good. I'm not feeling well
Yeah.
emotionally.
I guess it's like too, like mourning, really. It is a good level of grief, like you said, because you're mourning the relationship that you had, but the relationship it isn't as well anymore. And so often we'll go into relationships or friendships and you have an expectation, right? Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to grow together, or, whatever it might be. And then it changes and it shifts, and you have to either grow together or you grow apart. And it's through that you really learn about yourself, but also, like you said, their reactions to things, that is just usually a reflection of like, okay, thank you for solidifying why I had to let you go. I still remember in all the years I was running companies, I only had to fire two people in my life. And the second one that I fired, um she was a casual, but she was there and she was so upset, saying like, give me another chance. And I said, well, I don't trust you, because she'd broken my trust. It's like, I can't keep you on. She goes, oh, well, how long till you get, can I earn back your trust? And I said, well, I don't know, and there's no point me keeping you around to figure that out, because I just don't trust you, and I'm not going to be comfortable leaving you, like, to work. I can't, that it's just not going to work out. And I remember just channeling the goddess Kali, like that, like, like, don't get sucked in by all the stories, and just that strength of that, like, because there was a lot that had happened. And then just after I'd had that conversation, I went back and I was talking to some other staff members. And then they gave me even more information that I didn't even know, and more reasons that I was so grateful that I fired her. And I was like, she did
Mm-hmm.
what? You know, like, and like all these things, like she was canceling clients because it wasn't convenient for her, and all these things. And I had no idea. And I was like, thank you for just justifying my decision, because sometimes the universe is
Mm-hmm.
nice like that, right? And like you said, those reactions they had, that would have just gone to you, okay, I was having the right feeling about you, and this is exactly why we can't continue to be friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because I was in a class this morning. We did a meditation, and one of the things that came through for me, because I was second guessing some things this morning, and what came through from my future self, she said that all of that pushback and all of those reactions are actually their own insecurities, their own that stuff, their stuff, and that has nothing to do with you, and you're not responsible for that.
I love that. I often say to people, like, especially if they're talking really negatively, I'm like, you can have that projection back. Thank you very much. Like, that is not
Mm-hmm.
me, and even, and you do that with your partners too. So people are like in
Mm-hmm.
relationships and you find stuff getting projected onto you. It's so powerful to go, that's your stuff. You can have that. And I actually do the hand thing
I
as well.
like
It's
that.
almost like, here's a mirror, you can have that
Mm-hmm.
back, and it's almost like you're energetically shifting it at the same time. So it's like, you can have that projection back. That is not mine. Thank you very much. Because the more we let people's words infiltrate our field and play on our psyche. And I just had it happen yesterday where a client said something to me, and I was like, I'm like, why was she? And it was like playing over in my head. And I'm like, why am I letting this person get to me? Like, I'm doing her a favor, like, and then I was just like, no, just let it go. Just, she can have it back. She can have it back. She can have it back. And then I was like, okay, it's gone now, so, but it was just, the words get into our head, and then our ego picks up on it and our mind plays on that replay. And it's about knowing, like, hey, is this actually about me, or is this about them? And actually being able to discern between the two can be a really powerful act of self-love in itself as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it was perfect timing because I was just full of doubt this morning. Um, and then to get that back, that because we all have the answers within ourselves. That's what I'm discovering. It's all inside of here. I know what the answer
Yeah.
is, but I have to be willing to dig for it. I have to be willing to hear it. That's the hard part. I have to be willing to act on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. Like you said, it's not always easy. Like, it takes courage. It takes um, that divine trust, that you're trusting exactly what's coming through from you, and to trust that, you know, um, when you move, the universe will move with you. Because if we get stuck and get like the fear overtake us, then we don't move forward. And you never know, by shifting that friendships, because you've let those go, your new best friends might arrive, in the next week or so, because you've allowed space for that and allowed that ability for new people to come into your life, because you're not holding on to those old energies that were keeping you anchored in the past.
Yeah. 100%. One thing that I can celebrate too is I used to be that woman, like chase the man, even like as recent as my last relationship. I made it too easy for him, did all the work. And I met someone a couple of weeks ago that I was kind of interested in. And I had his phone number and reached out, and I kind of just dropped the hint that I was interested, but I wanted him to take the initial move, and he didn't. Well, he responded. He didn't pick up, as Matthew Hussey calls it, picking up the handkerchief. You drop the handkerchief and see
Yeah.
if they pick it up, and he didn't. And my old self would have sent him another text like, maybe he didn't understand. Maybe he just didn't see it. And I'm like, even though my old self keeps trying to show up and be like, she's poking at me right now, I told myself, no, we don't do things like that anymore. If he is interested, if he wants to do the work to show me that, he will reach out again. He has my phone number. But that's where you see the progress when you get out of the hot mess. And even though it's
Mm.
a little uncomfortable right now, it's not as uncomfortable as it was a year ago. Like a year ago, I would have been like, "Oh my god, I need to keep texting him. He needs to know I'm over here. Hello."
Oh gosh. It's so funny you say that because after I split up from my ex, I didn't want a serious relationship. I just wanted to enjoy the fun of dating because I got married quite young. And, to be in your late 20s, have money, independence, not parents watching you, all that sort of thing. I was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this time. And um, I was there was amazing how aware I was of this like neediness from people. Like some of them, like this guy was like, "Oh, you can't tell. I'm actually got a girlfriend, and you can't tell him that we're seeing each other." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't want you in my life. Like, what's this about?" I'm like, "What?" Like, no, okay. So then, then the next one's like, "Oh, you didn't text me today," and I was like, "Actually, I'm really unwell." So I didn't feel like getting up and texting you this morning. I said, you didn't text me either. And it was like a mind game, right? It's like, why? And then it was funny because amidst all of that, I met my husband, but my husband was always the one, like, he'd just be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," and like would take the initiative. And I'm like, yes,
Hmm.
you're the person I want because you're making an effort for me. Exactly like you said. Otherwise, but yeah, exactly. The old person would be like, "Oh, you're going to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing." It's like, no, they can come to me. They know I'm here.
Hmm.
They know like there's a possibility. I'm not going to go chase after them because even doing that, it's like like lowering your self-worth, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm not worthy of someone coming after me or someone meeting me at my level. I have to go run to their level. And in that like you're dropping your self-worth in that whole thing too.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a form of desperation. Like, oh my gosh, he's the only man on this earth. I have to get his attention. And even if he were, no, thank you. you know?
Exactly. Exactly. You'll figure it out. Or we can go talk to the coconut tree. Exactly.
Right. In the meantime, I've got this really awesome life. And I mean, to be honest, I would love someone, but I really don't have time in this moment, probably anyway, for a very serious relationship. I got a lot going on and a lot of good stuff. So it'll come when
Exactly.
it comes.
And then yeah, and even I find like when I met my husband, I wasn't looking. I was 100% not looking. I didn't want another relationship that quickly. But I was in such a good place with myself. Like I was truly doing all the things I love, honoring myself, living my best life, like you said. And then because your vibrations at that higher level, you're at a higher energy space, then you attract the love that you actually do deserve, not that you think you
Yeah.
deserve, that you do deserve. And that's where that amazing kind of shift happens in that regard. And I feel it's such an important message for anyone listening is that, the more energy you put into something and you try and push it to make it work, the more resistance you're going to have and keep attracting what you don't want.
Hmm. Hmm. That's in all areas of life, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm learning that in business. I'm learning that in friendships, attracting money, all of that. You have to you have to open yourself up to receive, but you attract it, not chase it. And yes, it's a
Exactly.
lifetime pattern that I'm breaking right now. But I think realizing it is the first step. That's been the most important thing for me. And then surrounding myself with people. I'm in an amazing mastermind with an intuitive coach who's always talking about this. And I'm surrounded with women who have the same, not just business goals, but also personal development goals. I mean, this is not just about attracting money. This is about inner child work. This is about, um, all these insecurities. Where are these coming from? And why do I feel the need to do this or that? Or why am I blocking that? It's what I'm learning is energetically that the blocking of the money for me has nothing to do with the money. It's
No, it
about
doesn't.
what is lacking in me that I'm pushing it away. Because I'm reading a book right now called Happy Pocket Full of Money, and it's talking about it from an energetic source. It's I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, it's all scientific stuff. But it's talking about how whatever we want, whether it's a friend, a lover, money, it actually exists. It exists now. We just
Yes.
haven't opened ourselves up to receive it.
100%. That's a good reminder. Yeah. And the more you push and the more you try and make things happen, the less likely it is going to happen. So, and sometimes, when you surrender things, that's when everything flows to you. It's so interesting. Hey, like it's just like, oh,
I
okay.
literally had this
Thank
conversation
you.
yesterday with someone. Surrender. This has come up. This is the third time this week this has come up.
Wow. If it's 3 times, Starla, you need to do it.
It's a sign. I know.
It's a
The
sign.
control freak in me says, oh, crap. There it is again.
Oh dear. And as we start to finish our time together, Darla, I asked the guests that
Yeah.
come on, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
It would definitely be more community. Oh gosh, I feel like over the past couple of generations, we've really lost our sense of community. I can remember growing up in the 70s, and we all had, the big front porches, and we'd all sit out in a porch and wave to our neighbors, and just it was okay to just come unannounced and knock on a neighbor's door, and they'd invite you in for coffee or some lemonade. And I miss those days, and I wish we had more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess too, it's like, we're afraid of talking to strangers, and, why? Why not get to know a stranger? They could have something magical that you want to know. And actually, some of my best conversations and opportunities have been from talking to strangers lately. So it's really interesting to reflect on that, right? So, and if people want to come work with you, Darla, or they want to find you, where can they hang out with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's on my website, actually. That is let me get it out. highvaluewoman.info. And all my socials, my podcast as well is on there. And I just love for you to check it out.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to drop all of that in the show notes as well. So thank you so much, Darla, and for the reminder of just loving yourself and the need for community again. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.